की राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी।
This week on India Ascents.
UK's Pakistan rape gang parliament face-off reveals how even the mightiest of democracies can fall. India bolsters Myanmar defences amidst China's controlled chaos approach. We decode how Syria's history is being changed by its new extremist rulers. Magical Odisha welcomes diaspora, NDTV report.
Welcome to this very special edition of India Ascents. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi and we are coming straight to you live from Bhubaneswar, where the Pravasi Bharatiya Diwas has been taking place, India's attempts to reach out to diaspora. Before we come to that, the big story this week is from the UK. Well, what is happening right now in the halls of Westminster is that there is an entire nation that is pretending to sleep and no one is out there trying to wake them up. The political landscape is effectively in free fall. The citizens of this once great nation are the ones that are really paying the price for what's happening in the UK. And the latest act of political theatre that is unfolding is that the Liberal Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and the Conservative Party leader, that is Kemi Badenoch, are trading barbs over one of the most pressing issues facing the UK today, which is the Pakistani rape gangs scandal. A matter that is so painful that it has actually torn through the fabric of British society. And here we are, politicians playing the blame game while thousands of victims and their families continue to suffer in silence, quite literally. Keir Starmer accused Kim of bandwagon jumping. He claims that her newfound interest in the issue is nothing more than a reaction to social media outrage. And what is that? Well, series of tweets that have been put out by Elon Musk, who owns X platform, where he blasted the UK government and specifically the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, for his inaction. But Badenoch is no stranger when it comes to confrontation. She hit back at Keir Starmer, accusing him of politicizing and actually prioritizing political gains over ensuring justice, and even asked the burning question, why won't he listen to the victims? Now, Starmer claims another national inquiry would actually slow down the necessary action. Meanwhile, the victims of these grooming gangs, which are predominantly Sikh, Hindu and the Christian white girls and their families, are caught in the crossfire of a political battle that has ignored the pain for too long. And while politicians bicker in Westminster, these families are really left to pick up the pieces of their shattered and broken lives. And just as the UK's leaders squabble, there's a stark irony, viewers, that has actually unfolded. On the very same day, India's Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla met with British lawmakers in the same House of Lords and discussed India's democratic values and rise as a global power. A reminder of what the UK once preached. What was that? Democracy, justice and progress. Now, Om Birla is on an official visit to the UK, covering England, Scotland and several other parts, and it began by paying a tribute to the principal architect of the Indian Constitution at the Ambedkar Museum in North London on Tuesday. Viewers, that's an irony that nobody can miss. UK's political leaders may have lost sight of their duty to the people, but the world is watching. And they are watching exactly what is unfolding in the UK. The question is, how long can the UK avoid confronting the truth that its political class has failed its citizens, failed the victims, failed the very ideals that it once championed? While Westminster plays its political games, the victims wait for justice and they wait for a government that will finally listen to them.
They're scared of vote bank. Yes. They will lose the vote bank.
The next story that we're talking about is the Pravasi Bharatiya Diwas. It was the 18th edition in Bhubaneswar. And what I have witnessed in the last 2 days that I've been here is that now diaspora from every part of the world wants to connect and communicate with India. They want to build those bridges. They want to be part of the India story. They want to be part of how they can contribute that much more to their motherland. From places as far wide as Congo and Uganda, Indians are making that trip, and they've made that trip, and they want to ensure that going forward they can get onto the India story, and hopefully India will give that roadmap to its diaspora, 39.5 million and counting going forward. Take a look at some of these important snippets that really unfolded here, where I spoke to a bunch of important people on what they felt about the India story and where they can be part of it. Conversation with very illustrious members of the Indian diaspora. We have with us Mr. Rajan Narasimhan, who is the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for Government of Mauritius. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. And we speak at a time when there's so much of focus with regard to building bridges as far as Indian diaspora is concerned. Talk to us about the India-Mauritius relationship. There's a very large delegation that has come here. What's been their feedback like so far? What is the messaging and also the expectation of the relationship from here on?
So I would say namaste, good morning, vanakkam, namaskar to all our brothers and sisters in India. So the delegation that we have with us, we've got two ministers attending this conference, but we've got a big delegation of 300 people. I think it's the biggest one. So the sort of zeal and the enthusiasm for our Mauritians to come here, in a way, testify to the sort of relationship. It's a special relationship that we have been having with India for centuries now. And you know, we had a wave of Indian indentured laborers coming to Mauritius. But also prior to that, we had skilled workers coming from Tamil Nadu. When the island was still under the French occupation. And over the years, we've seen, even before independence, we acceded to independence in 1968. So even before that time, our late Prime Minister, considered the father of the nation, Sir Sivasagar Ramgoolam, has always been having a sort of special relationship with India. And at that time, your Prime Minister, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji, was Prime Minister. So over the years, different Prime Ministers have been coming to power, especially in India. But this relationship has been on, and I would say, improved over time. And just 2 months ago, we have our new Prime Minister, who was Prime Minister before, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam. Yeah. He's come back to power. And Dr. Navin Ramgoolam also, as Prime Minister, and even Mr. Paul Béranger, the Deputy Prime Minister, they are charismatic figures, and they have also a special vision for Africa, but also have a vision for the relationship that we have with India.
In fact, I was just coming to that, sir, that with the change in government, there is a broad continuity in terms of foreign policy and the direction, but the objectives and the key focus areas under the new government for the India-Mauritius relationship.
You see, irrespective of government, of course, we did not agree with the previous government on many systemic issues. Now we're going to rectify. We're going to, our Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, and Mr. Paul Béranger will implement our political manifesto. But fortunately, when it comes to foreign relations, diplomatic relations, I think there will be no change. On the contrary, I think Dr. Navin Ramgoolam will consolidate that relationship. And yesterday itself, with a fleeting meeting, very short meeting and exchange of few words with your Prime Minister, Modi ji. Yeah. He reiterated his invitation to our Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam. And I'm sure I sent a message to the Prime Minister. And I'm sure in the coming days, coming weeks, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam will be visiting your country. Great. And it will be a great opportunity for the two Prime Ministers to chart a new path to beef up that relationship between the two countries.
All right, the other important story that we're tracking and covering on India Sense, chaos is a new currency in Myanmar, one that China is more than willing to spend. Beijing has a foot in both camps, arming Myanmar's generals while fueling the insurgents against them. The consequences are already being felt in the entire region. As the strife bleeds into neighbouring territories, India is no longer just watching from the sidelines. It's building walls, it's reinforcing defences, bracing for impact, but at the same time ensuring that there is a dialogue that is taking place with all stakeholders. Take a look at this report.
In Myanmar, chaos is no longer a byproduct of conflict. It's part of China's strategic playbook. With its carrot and stick policy, Beijing is walking a fine line, engaging with both the military junta and Myanmar's ethnic armed groups. It's extending economic incentives to the ruling junta and also arms those fighting against it, creating a volatile, controlled chaos.
China has a great deal at stake, both in terms of its business interests and the fact that it's very significant border interests with Myanmar.
But this is not a game without consequences for the larger region. The writing is on the wall, and New Delhi is bracing for the fallout. India's northeastern states, already plagued by border vulnerabilities, are on high alert as the spectre of more Rohingya refugees fleeing Myanmar grows even more likely. Desperation is pushing more refugees out while Myanmar's civil conflict deepens. The porous and long India-Myanmar border has already seen waves of migrants in recent years, many fleeing violence and repression. According to New Delhi's estimates, around 40,000 Rohingya refugees have already fled to India amid the conflict, including 22,500 registered with the UN Refugees Agency. Now, as China's hand in Myanmar grows bolder, New Delhi fears a fresh influx could overwhelm its security. The situation is a powder keg, and India is not a sitting duck. New Delhi is reinforcing its defences with urgency. Fencing along the 1,643-kilometre-long India-Myanmar border is expanding, with a newly completed 9.2-kilometre stretch in the critical town of Manipur's Muri. This is more than just a line of steel. It's a bold statement that India will not sit idly by as Myanmar's instability seeps into its territories. As the government pushes forward with fencing and enhanced surveillance systems in places like Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland, it's clear that New Delhi is determined to lock down its borders. The Assam Rifles are working round the clock to implement a hybrid surveillance system with real-time monitoring capabilities to spot illegal crossings and potential security threats. India's efforts go beyond just physical barriers. With a 1,472-kilometre stretch already demarcated and more fencing projects in the pipeline, India is not just building walls, it's reinforcing its commitment to long-term security and regional stability. The carrot and stick approach may be China's strategy, but for India, it's all about building an unyielding wall of defense to keep chaos at bay.
Viewers, in a matter of just 2 weeks, actually less than that, Donald Trump is returning to the White House, and he's bringing with him the world's richest man, Elon Musk. The Tesla and the SpaceX CEO won't just be an advisor, he'll be at the center of Trump's administration, his policies, and he's going to be heading a department, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. But the question is, and that's something that the world wants to know, is just how much power will Elon Musk wield, and what will happen if his vast business empire collides with Washington's policies? This report tells you in greater detail what could happen.
Elon Musk's empire, from electric cars to space exploration, is on the brink of becoming deeply intertwined with Washington's decisions. With Trump's backing, Musk's vision for deregulation could reshape everything from road safety to space missions. Tesla, long scrutinized by regulators, could finally escape the watchdog as Musk positions himself as the outsider, pushing his vision of innovation unimpeded. SpaceX could see a flood of government contracts, including lucrative military deals. Imagine this: SpaceX, which is already racing to send satellites into space, is set to dominate the market for spy satellites as the Pentagon prepares to invest billions. But it doesn't stop there. Musk's brain-computer company Neuralink has been under the FDA's microscope for animal testing. Will the FDA allow Musk to push forward with his controversial trials? And then there's X. The platform has become a powerful megaphone for Trump's agenda, allowing Musk to be more than a business leader, but a global political voice. Musk's increasing influence raises serious questions about conflicts of interest. What happens to the existing probes? Will his power be enough to overshadow them all? Musk's outspoken support for far-right movements across Europe, especially throwing the gauntlet to UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, will create tension with international leaders. It's clear the Musk-Trump alliance could reshape everything, from deregulation to global diplomacy.
All right, with that, we slip into a very short break. We come back with lots more views and lots more news on the other side. Stay with us.
Kind attention, please. Delhi Election Metro 2025 is arriving on People's Platform.
Please mind the gap.
BJP or AAP, who will get to the Delhi Secretariat station?
दरवाजे बाईं तरफ खुलेंगे.
Who will Delhi voters open the victory doors for? And who will be shown the door? Can the BJP throw AAP's victory run off track? Or will it be Kejriwal's ticket to win again? Can Congress take the election metro to revival? We will track it all for you. Delhi's decision destination.
Doors will open on the left.
Stay tuned to NDTV for mega metro poll coverage.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
The Who's Next Influencer Awards 2024 presented by Who's That 360 and our proud media partner NDTV.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking Trump takeover. Every day at 10:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
Gaurie Dwivedi. All right, the other story that we are tracking on India Sense, from the path of goodness to the Islamic path now, Syria's history books are literally being rewritten or scrubbed, whichever way you look at it. The new extremist leaders of this war-torn nation come with a history and ideology that are causing deep concerns, and that's the reason why we are raising this issue today. Why? As the country's future is rewritten, the classrooms, the streets, and the very foundation of its society is now going to be reshaped completely by forces which have a very disturbing extremist agenda. Well, the West, what are they trying to do? They've been a mute spectator. They are watching and wondering what will happen next. Remember, they're trying to mainstream Syrian leaders. But that is not what is going to happen. What is going to happen is history will be rewritten. And this report tells you what's happening.
In Syria, the rewriting of history is not just happening on paper, it's happening in the minds of its youth. Last week, the Ministry of Education released a controversial list of amendments to the national curriculum. A new chapter in Syria's educational history began to unfold on its official Facebook page. The changes are striking. Path of goodness is now the Islamic path. A phrase once reserved for moral guidance is now a clear call to religious orthodoxy. But it's not just the language. The list also includes a chilling revision to one of Islam's most sacred verses. The phrase, "Those who have are damned and have gone astray," has been replaced with Jews and Christians. Critics fear that these changes represent more than just a shift in language. They signal a move towards a more ultra-conservative interpretation of Islam, one that risks deepening Syria's already fragile divisions. The word martyr, once a symbol of national sacrifice, is now redefined. No longer someone who died for their country, but someone who gave their life for the sake of God. A subtle but profound shift from patriotism to religious dogma. And not all. Entire chapters have been erased. Two of the most telling changes are sections on the origins and evolution of life at the Big Bang Theory. It's a direct strike at scientific inquiry, casting doubt on the very foundations of modern knowledge. Syrian citizens, already grappling with decades of war, are now questioning the future of their children's education. For many, these changes feel like more than mere amendments. While the world watches, tensions rise. A recent snub of Germany's foreign minister by Al-Shara, a refusal to shake hands with a woman, has reignited fears that Syria's new rulers are steering the country towards an Islamic identity that could undermine women's rights and freedoms. As Shara juggles rebuilding, a shattered nation faces the daunting task of earning the trust of Syria's diverse communities, not just in textbooks, but in the very streets that they walk. With elections potentially years away, can he balance his extreme past with the promise of democratic future? In Syria, the ink on history's pages is still drying, but the question remains, who gets to write it? For now, the struggle continues. The pages may turn, but Syria's future is still being written, and its people are watching, waiting, and hoping.
Quick take segment on the show.
In the battle to secure the porous India-Bangladesh border, the Border Security Force is deploying a hybrid strategy, blending traditional methods with cutting-edge technology. Stretching over 4,000 kilometers, This vast, often rugged terrain is a hotbed for smuggling and human trafficking. The BSF's response? A combination of wire fences, motion detectors, night vision cameras, and even improvised alarm systems, all tied to live control feeds for rapid action. In areas left unfenced like the treacherous Betna River region, the BSF uses bamboo, copper wire, and high-tech surveillance to plug gaps. As the rainy season looms, their multi-layered approach ensures no stone is left unturned in the relentless fight to maintain control. With technology, manpower and resourcefulness, they're turning the tide on illegal crossings, one sensor at a time. In the war-torn fields of Ukraine, a new chilling tactic is emerging. North Korean soldiers sent to aid Russia are reportedly being used as human mine detectors. With their lives expendable, these soldiers march in single file, walking directly into minefields, their deaths used as a grim current. Ukrainian military officials, describing this as a meat grinder strategy, say their commanders don't flinch when one falls. With small arms and rudimentary weapons, the North Koreans are learning from Russia, gaining military experience and equipment that could bolster Kim Jong-un's power long after this war ends. Meanwhile, as Ukraine launches a major offensive, the price is steep. Both North Korea and Russia are suffering heavy losses and the human cost climbing into thousands. Amid this bloodshed, the question lingers: how much longer can this deadly game of sacrifice continue? As 2025 begins, the geopolitical stage looks less like a chessboard and more like a house of cards. According to the Eurasia Group's latest report, the biggest risks facing the world are not just a crack in the foundation, but the possibility of the whole structure crumbling. At the top of the list, the G0 wins, the terrifying prospect of a world without leadership. This is America First thinking taken to the extreme. A world where no one is stepping in to play peacemaker, and the US sets the rules with the threats of tariffs hanging over every head. But the real wild card, artificial intelligence, innovation's double-edged sword. As technology speeds ahead, the rest of the world is left scrambling to keep up and wondering what happens when machines begin making the rules. For now, it seems like the world is rolling the dice and hoping the game doesn't end in chaos.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Sense. Thanks so much for watching this very special edition coming to you live from Bhubaneswar.
And I swipe it there, bound rewards, मैं everywhere, कहीं से भी करूँ collect, spend करूँ direct.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
This week on India Ascends.
UK's Pakistan Brave Gang Parliament Faceoff reveals how even the mightiest of democracies can fall. India bolsters Myanmar defences amidst China's controlled chaos approach. We decode how Syria's history is being changed by its new extremist rulers. Magical Odisha welcomes diaspora. NDTV reports from Ground Zero.
All this and more only on India Sense with me, Gaurie Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Kind attention, please. Delhi Election Metro 2025 is arriving on People's Platform.
Please mind the gap.
BJP or AAP, who will get to the Delhi Secretariat station?
दरवाजे बाईं तरफ खुलेंगे.
Who will Delhi voters open the victory doors for? And who will be shown the door? Can the BJP throw AAP's victory run off track? Or will it be Kejriwal's ticket to win again? Can Congress take the election metro to revival? We will track it all for you. Delhi's decision destination.
Doors will open on the left.
Stay tuned to NDTV for mega metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching NDTV. In today's show, we will focus on the deadliest wildfire in the history of the United States. At least 10 people killed and over 1.7 lakh people have been forced to evacuate. My colleague Vishnu Shom has managed to enter the worst hit areas of LA. We'll take a look at some of his special ground reports. Before that, let's take a look at the headlines. It's a fight for Purvanchali votes in the national capital now. BJP workers hold a protest, break barricades, marching to Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal's residence, objecting to his comments linking Purvanchalis to fake voters. Kejriwal has retorted, saying no other party has helped Purvanchalis in Delhi as much as the Aam Aadmi Party has. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's podcast debut now. PM gets candid with Nikhil Kamath. Prime Minister has said that he had to rise above his emotions during the Godhra incident. Meanwhile, celebrities react to L&T chief's comment on 90-hour work week. Deepika Padukone, Jwala Gatta expressed shock. It's the deadliest wildfire in the history of the United States. 10 people dead and over 1.7 lakh people have been evacuated. NDTV reports from Ground Zero.
Well, I'm in Altadena. This is one of the worst hit areas.
A neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been devastated by fire.
I just received an emergency alert extreme, which has come on my phone.
California's National Guard has been deployed to assist in managing the raging wildfires. We are throwing everything at our disposal, Governor Gavin Newsom has said. He also issued a warning against looting, which has reportedly broken out in some zones. Winds have picked up again, making for challenging firefighting conditions. Fierce wildfires burning out of control in Greater LA have killed at least 6 people and forced nearly 1.8 lakh people from their homes. President Joe Biden has pledged federal resources to aid California's response to what he has described as the most devastating wildfire in the history of the state. Take a look at some of these exclusive ground reports from LA filed by my colleague Vishnu Shom, who's reporting from the ground.
This is one of the worst hit areas in the greater Los Angeles area. You can see fire trucks behind me, and they're actually trying to put out fires in this particular home. This entire area has been entirely burnt out. You can see the fire service people walking in over here, the firefighters working over here. We can't get in beyond this particular point, but they're working over here. You can see a great deal of damage in this particular area. The smoke is still coming out of some of the areas over here, and what we're going to actually do is walk through some of these areas to give you a sense of what it looks like. And everywhere that you see, there's devastation. So just follow me as we, Stephen, go to this area and just point out that there's still smoke coming up from these homes which were completely destroyed, as you can see over here. And there are any number of homes which have been entirely destroyed. So there is smoke, which you can see coming out of these structures. A lot of stuff burning, we can smell it. There is ash in the air as well. If we move across this road, and this seems to be an affluent part of this area. We can see cars which have been entirely burnt out, and home after home has been completely destroyed. These are the savings of people completely destroyed, decimated, and this house behind me destroyed as well. Now, I'm just going to update our viewers on what the overall situation is. The situation remains tense because even though right now it seems that the wind speeds have come down, they aren't entirely certain that the winds have gone away. And until the winds go away, there is a huge problem over here because it's the winds which are spreading the fires. There are at least 4 to 5 major fires in the greater Los Angeles area, and all of these are uncontained. And it's these embers which reach out far, which trigger fires in areas which are incredibly dry. There is usually rainfall which happens. Why don't you follow me as we, behind my shoulder, and let's just walk to this place. There is rainfall which happens this time of the year. That's not happened. There are wildfires which take place across this region, but that happens in the month of October by and large. What's taking place now is entirely unexpected. This structure that you see over here completely razed to the ground. And it's house after house after house, and then the fires just stop, and if you're lucky, your house gets saved. So and it's untouched, and it's just this is bizarre because the house over here entirely unaffected. The people over here very, very lucky because the house in front of them, which is this one right over here, and the houses all around have gone. And if you just walk past and take a look at, there's another fire over there. I don't know if you can catch that or see that, but there's another fire over here which is broken out. Be careful, there are lots of nails over here in the distance. Now, that wasn't here just a few minutes back, but it's this huge plume which we can see as we walk through this area. Billions have been lost across the region. The sense is that when this all gets figured out, you're looking at the most expensive natural disaster in the history of the United States of America. We're just going to keep walking over here just to give you, more idea, another idea of what we're seeing over here. It's just traumatic to see the damage over here, the homes, the lives of any number of people completely destroyed, devastated. Now, the only silver lining in this is that the loss of life has been minimal. There have been about 5 people who've lost their lives, but by and large, the loss of life has been contained because evacuation orders came early. The police enforced that. People got out. There have been 1.7 lakh people, 170,000 people plus, who have been evacuated or have been told to evacuate. They followed the guidelines, they got out. And a lot of them wouldn't be allowed to come back right now because this is still an area which is tense and unpredictable. The fires have not been contained, but when these people come back, they will know the extent of the damage, and in so many cases, it's been entirely destroyed. This is Vishnu Shom reporting from the greater Los Angeles area on the forest fires. It is a very unfortunate and difficult place where I'm reporting from. This is the Altadena region of greater Los Angeles, and there is devastation all around me. This is one of the worst hit areas And I'm going to go through some of the areas where homes have been entirely destroyed. It's catastrophic, because what they are now saying is that the damage assessment, when it does finally come out, would have this being the costliest natural disaster in American history. Now, whether or not that is the case, we'll figure out later on. But just think about the losses that people have sustained in this area, their houses, their lives, their lifetime savings entirely destroyed, gone. Fortunately, the loss of life has been low. Just about 5 people have lost their lives. People did listen to evacuation announcements. In fact, we got evacuation announcements or notices saying that there is a fast-moving fire in this area and that we need to exit, which is what we're going to do. But before we do that, we can tell you a little bit about what we are seeing over here. There's a basketball court. Somebody, perhaps a child, used to play basketball, but the house all around it, presumably their home, has been completely obliterated, completely destroyed. We're just very carefully going to move to this area over here, where there is still a small fire which is burning. We need to be careful as we cross past electricity lines. Of course, electricity has been cut off, but we need to be a bit careful. And you can still see, I don't know if that's a gas line which is still on fire, but it's and the temperature here is variable. It's otherwise not warm or hot, but as you walk through these areas, suddenly the temperature appears to rise, and that's because the ground is still extremely hot. There's smoke all around, and all of the fires which have caused this and continue to rage in areas just beyond are uncontained. And that really is the big concern, that the fires are uncontained at this stage. That has a great deal to do with the winds in this entire area. At the moment, fortunately, the winds have gone down, but the concern is that the winds will remain. And until such time as the winds remain, these will remain uncontained fires. So we're just going to walk a little bit further on in this area. That's somebody's car, completely burnt down. There's a putrid smell in the air over here. There is ash in the skies. That's somebody's bike, a motorcycle up there. And this was a house and someone's gym equipment just below, right over here. Weights. This is just unbelievable devastation. Some of the worst that I've seen in all of these years of reporting on disasters. And it's still an active situation. It remains very, very tense over here. And Los Angeles is just coming to grips with what's happened. It's not over yet, but the scale and the quantum of rebuilding is what strikes me as something that's going to take years. There's no two ways about that. And for the people who've lost everything, just getting over that will take a great deal of time. In Los Angeles, Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Well, I just received an emergency alert extreme, which has come on my phone. It says LA County Office of Emergency Management, fast-moving wildfire in the area, and evacuation warning has been issued. Prepare to leave, and then more information. And every time this alert keeps coming up on my phone. So we better get out of this area soon. But as we pan the camera, you can see the extent of the damage. This is the Altadena area, and there are still fires, and there's a lot of smoke in the area. These houses completely gutted. There would be upwards of 50 homes at least in this area alone. We're going to walk through some of the areas which have been badly hit. But billions in damage in this entire region. You can see cars in the distance. which have been entirely dotted. We're going to walk near speed in this area to one of the spots where you can actually see an active fire, a small one in the areas, because it's not done as yet. This entire situation, you can see the fires still in some of the areas. So this is what it looks like presently over here. We're just going to walk a little bit more over here to give you an idea of the devastation. And if you just, I guess do a 360, you can get an idea of all of the homes destroyed in this area, including, this was a basketball court, but the house all around it completely destroyed. In Altadena, Vishnu Shop for NDTV.
Well, my colleague Amrita Gandhi, who is also in LA, has filed these exclusive reports from Pasadena, which is one of the most hit areas here. She has also spoken to local residents. Let's take a look.
Chimneys and fireplaces. Ironically, these are what remain of the homes that have burnt down to ashes in Pasadena. A neighborhood, a community, but now just a site of one of the several major fires this week in Los Angeles. Figurines at the entrance of what was once a family porch. The everyday stuff that made a home is now vanished or completely unrecognizable. I'm in Pasadena, a neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been devastated by fire. This particular residential area is home to some beautiful houses, family homes, where one neighbor's house is intact, but the next neighbor's house is burnt down to ashes. And all that remains is the brick kiln fireplace and some remnants, some hints of what was once a thriving family home. It's very disturbing to see how a house can be burnt down so quickly into absolutely nothing but ash. And many of the people who once lived here have not yet been back to see the devastation of their homes. And anyone walking through these deserted neighborhoods with burnt down homes, rubble and ash, can see the destruction that these fires have left in their wake. Rose bushes and a white picket fence, delicate signs of what used to once be a thriving home. The roses have survived, but the house has not. It is bound to bring tears to any resident returning. A little library of books, a community library so that passers-by can pick up a book as they walk by. A little surviving sign of family life. These books survived the fire, in one of the worst fires in Los Angeles. But what lies within has not survived. The family car, the structure of the home, flames still burning inside. At times like this, one can only be grateful that the people who lived here have been evacuated in time. The air is thick with smoke. Most local residents seem to have left because it's hard to breathe. I'm in front of one more house here in Pasadena, which has been taken by the fire. Entire neighborhoods are deserted. All you can see is the remains of cars, the structure of homes, broken down, reduced to ash. The air is thick with smoke. The air is almost unbreathable. Most residents have left because even if their home is intact, it is hard to breathe. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash by the devastating fires that have ravaged Los Angeles. While some people are beginning to come back to see if their house is still standing, for many, they have not yet been home. A home that is now reduced to nothing but ash, with just the fireplace and chimney left intact. The process of rebuilding, the process of all of this sinking in, is just beginning. Amrita Gandhi reporting for NDTV from Los Angeles, California.
I'm in shock. My home is gone. Everything I own except for a suitcase of clothes is gone. I had left for a trip on Saturday and came home without a house. I didn't even take my wedding rings with me. They're in the house. There's nothing. I think of the valuables, the more sentimental valuables that are in the home. My wedding album, a watch from my dad, things that can't be replaced. But that's all material stuff. The biggest thing is my family's together now. We were in different places when the fires broke out. My husband had to evacuate without us. So he was able to grab a few things and our dog, and that was about it. And our friends, it's our entire community. It's not just us. I have dozens of friends. I've lived in the Palisades for 15 years. We moved when my son was an infant, and everything's gone. The entire town. When my kids went to school, the church, the grocery store, the shops, all the homes, everything it's gone. It's a lot to process. So I'm heartbroken, not just for us, but for our.
These are the words of Kristen, who lost her home to the devastating fires that continue to burn in residential communities in Los Angeles. Many families like Kristen's have come here to this downtown hotel that allows displaced families to bring their pets. The hotel has waived its usual pet fees for those affected by the fire, a seemingly small but important gesture that goes a long way for families dealing with loss and uncertainty. Jeff Harris, who also lives in the Pacific Palisades community in LA, is yet to know for sure whether his home is still standing. He and his wife were evacuated with little notice.
Sheriff drove by, announced on the loudspeaker that everybody should evacuate, and quickly. We had this about 10 years ago. It didn't really end up being a problem, and we're hoping that now. Yeah. But it's a house, and everybody's safe. So if we lose it, we lose it. We'll rebuild.
And you're here with your dog.
And my wife.
And your wife.
Yes.
And you came
more important even than the dog. She doesn't feel the same way.
Jeff and his wife and pet are not the only ones who don't know if they will have a home to go back to. This mother of two learned from an app that it was time to evacuate because of another fire called the Sunset Fire.
It's a little nuts. It's definitely a weird feeling to leave your house and all the things you have.
A little bit nuts is a mild way of putting it, yet parents here do their best to maintain a sense of normalcy for children at these very uncertain times. The people of LA are no strangers to fire, yet anyone you speak to will say that the multiple major fires of 2025, fueled by the powerful Santa Ana winds, leaving over 100,000 people under evacuation orders, are the worst they have ever seen. From a downtown hotel in Los Angeles, this is Amrita Gandhi, reporting for NDTV.
And it's time for a short break. We'll see you on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
And I swipe it there, bound rewards, मैं everywhere, कहीं से भी करूँ collect, spend करूँ direct.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
The Who's Next Influencer Awards 2024 presented by Who's That 360 and our proud media partner NDTV.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking Trump takeover. Every day at 10:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Well, I'm in Altadena. This is one of the worst hit areas. When disaster strikes, NDTV World brings you exclusive on-the-ground reports straight from the heart of the action.
A neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been devastated by fire.
I just received an emergency alert extreme, which has come on my phone.
Stay tuned for NDTV World's in-depth coverage as we bring you the real stories from Los Angeles.
This is the Altadena area, and there are still fires, and there's a lot of smoke in the area. These houses completely gutted.
This is reporting that matters only on NDTV World.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
This week on India Ascends.
UK's Pakistan rape gang parliament face-off reveals how even the mightiest of democracies can fall. India bolsters Myanmar defences amidst China's controlled chaos approach. We decode how Syria's history is being changed by its new extremist rulers. Magical Odisha welcomes diaspora. NDTV reports from Ground Zero.
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gaurie Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Kind attention.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching NDTV. Work-life balance, they say, is key to both mental and physical well-being. But then, why do the bosses of Indian enterprises often reject this idea? Well, following the controversial statement of Infosys founder Narayan Murthy, who in the past has advocated for a 70-hour work week, now L&T chairperson S.N. Subramanian has gone further and he has called for a 90-hour work week. Both have defended their statements and have said that this is important for nation building. They say for India to compete with the fastest growing countries like China and Japan, the youth of India must commit to working very, very hard. Many have called this approach exploitative and profit driven, and many have also pointed to larger questions. Is this idea even feasible? Is it critical to make work your world to be a successful professional? What happens to the other aspects of life? Is work just about life? What happens to household work and equal parenting? While the vision of a prosperous India is compelling, it will remain incomplete without addressing gendered realities and also the well-being of its youth. Today we shall look at the various layers to this story. Joining me now is Chokko Valiappa, who is the CEO of V Technologies. We have Mr. Himanshu Arora, who is the CEO and co-founder of Gomchanik. We have Shruti Swaroop, who is the founder of Embrace Consulting. She's an HR expert. We also have Brinda Adige, who's a social and women's activist. Thank you all of you for joining me on this show. To you, Chokko Valiappa first. The first thing that is very clear to me is that successful professionals are working harder than ever. It's not even a 40-hour work week, it's a thing of the past. Even a 60-hour work week is, again, a thing of the past. It's not seen as a path to the top. That also is being considered part-time. What's the point of asking, our people to keep working more and more? Is that how corporate India wants its youth to look at work?
Yeah, Vasundhara. So I think it's more so a generational divide in a way. Like, you have Gen X and you have Gen Z, and I think it's the Gen Z. This mindset is totally different. They're looking at work-life balance. They're trying to. They're probably much more smarter than the Gen X of the world, like where we were. So what is needed though is efficiency, right? So it's not the hours that you work, but how effective are you working, right? So you may work 5 hours a day, but you need to be effective, because very often it's not at work that you get the best ideas. Like, Newton found gravity by an apple falling down his head. So was he working, not working? So it's not what the hours you put, but what you do in that hours that count. So it depends on what industry you are in and stuff like that. If you look at India, so we moved from a 6-day work week to a 5-day work week. And why did we do that about 30, 40 years ago? It's because to get a more work-life balance. And work-life balance, not necessarily about spending time with, it could be with parents, it could be doing what you love, what you do, and, stuff like that. So.
Shruti Swaroop, as an HR expert, how do you see the contradiction that even Mr. Valiappa was pointing out? There is one generation that is saying that, how much ever you work, it's not going to be enough because we are working for nation building. And then there's another generation, which is Gen Z, which is talking about its rights, which is talking about looking at other aspects of life, which is also talking about sharing responsibilities with partners. They say that work is not, life is not completely about work. So how do you see the contradictions, and how is corporate India looking at this?
I think we need to understand that people are most efficient only up to about 6.5, 7 hours in a day. Beyond that, the efficiency goes down. We know about the diminishing, utility of time, and we know all the science and economics here. The thing is, we need to understand that beyond a point, you can only make a person appear busy. You can make a person sit in front of the laptop, but you will not be able to get the performance and productivity that we want in an organization. So it's more important to focus on the efficiency part of it rather than the number of hours. Clocking hours, I think we need to move beyond that. A person is most effective when the person has time to do other things. A person is most effective when he or she is following their passion. So we need to let people be a little and focus more on overall well-being. Even the labor law doesn't allow you to work beyond 48 hours.
There are these laws, and of course there are these differences between generations, but like you said, people have limited time to be effective, and it's important to address everybody's limitations. Mr. Arora, how do you see this argument? Because the idea of nation building is very compelling, because we're all Indians, and every time somebody says that this is you have to approach it from the standpoint of duty, all of us get completely sort of like, we buy that argument. But how fair is it to the employee and his family, who clearly, who's not clearly making this money? How fair is it to that employee's children and to his parents, who also need his or her time?
No, that's absolutely true. And I come in from a simple ideology of building a startup, right? In a startup ecosystem, working long hours is the new normal that we have all seen. And when people start working long hours, they're primarily following their passion. And with passion, you sometimes don't really realize how many hours you spend in the office. I mean, I'm sitting in office right now. It's 7:30 in the evening, and we start our day at about 9:30. It's about almost to about 10 hours, 11 hours a day. So it's all about what you do and which juncture of your professional growth you are in. If you're in your mid 20s and you're now following your professional growth, who stopped you to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day? When you are now getting to a state where you're getting settled and you're now towards your marriage and towards your kids, maybe that's a time you bring in a little bit of work balance. India, as a growing economy, definitely needs some hard working hours and definitely requires people to operate at certain level. But primarily, I come in from a simple ideology. If you enjoy what you do and the work generally doesn't feel work to you, then you are there for a number of hours. You're not really counting hours, whether you're productive, non-productive, doesn't really matter. You enjoy what you're doing. You enjoy meeting your colleagues. You enjoy spending time with them, making sure that you're coming in with great ideas, and people love doing that. So primarily from that simple ideology, if work doesn't feel work, then what's number of hours here? It's about you spending time either at your home, chit-chatting, watching Instagram, and meeting your friends for drinks, or you're working at office and doing the same thing and also being productive for your organization, for your country, and growing. And maybe this is the age for those early 20s to make sure that they're able to give their extra hours so that these short-term wins can lead to long-term gains, right? So today it could be those long hours, but tomorrow it could be the balance that you are able to strike there.
So that's a very interesting point. Brinda Adige, I also wanted to ask you this question. There's this interesting point that Himanshu also makes that, the more successful you are, probably, you also feel better to chat at home, you are less under pressure. So that's at least the assumption. But the language that many of these top leaders use, I mean the CEO of L&T, or for that matter, even Mr. Narayan Murthy, staring at your wife, what does one do at home, come to office, start working. This in some ways it makes you think there is less regard for household work. What really is then the idea of what is the future of ideas such as equal parenting, shared responsibilities, if bosses think like this?
Yes, I feel that was a very sexist comment, that you work 90 hours and why should you go and sit and stare at your wife's face, or for that matter, your mother or your sister's face or your parents' face, and all of that is unacceptable. When we are talking about when people claim that there is a passion and they are passionate about working in an office, so where is the passion now to build the family, to bond with the family? Whose responsibility and job is that? What about our children? What about our parents, aged or otherwise? So if that bonding is not there, and you consider the family to be available and there for you when you need that family, but you're not there to bond with that family, isn't going and working, even if you're very passionate about whatever, almost bonded labor? You are passionate, of course, but what is your work-life balance? That this phrase, what does it ask for? What does it matter? What is the definition of this? And at the end of the day, we must realize that anybody who claims that work in your 20s and ease down in your 30s and 40s, and after all, now 60s are now the middle age. When do you look after your own body? We need to understand that all of this is balance, and that balance comes only when you have the time to spend for all of these various things. Today we know that a lot of them spend much more time on the road traveling. We also know a lot of them carry work home. So irrespective of when you log out in your office, you're still carrying home. If there is an emergency, you are available for that call. So given all of these things, are you not working for this office that you are employed at almost all the time? So what is your time? What is time with the family? People will talk, okay, it is quality time, even if I spend 20 minutes. Really? So these are questions we want to ask. It's very easy to say these kind of things. What about household chores? Is it enough that you have somebody who's going to do maybe a domestic help or a cook or somebody like that, but you still have chores to do? The house has to be maintained. Somebody is looking after it. And all of the burden, mind you, falls on women many times, even though women are also working out in offices. So that said, I think we should be careful when we want to talk about work balance, work-life balance, and talking about this 70, 90 hours and making trivial statements. Why are you going to be looking at your wife's face? So what? If I want to look at my wife's face, somebody must now tell me not to look at my wife's face. So you see how much of my private space is being impinged upon.
Right.
And there is also an entitlement to that question when somebody asks.
Right.
So I think it is time we understand what is freedom and personal time and space.
Right. Shruti Swarup, as somebody who has worked in the field of HR for long, also help me understand this. Workplaces are also gendered, and there's also, the problem of pay equality. For that matter, women often have to take a break. It's so easy to say work for 70 hours a day. I can't work 70 hours a day because 70 hours a week because I have a child at home. I have to take care of him. But of course, my husband can do that. So clearly, there is, men are probably better off working in the sense, they are better equipped, or in the sense that they would be possibly they're better placed to work for for more hours in a day or in a week as opposed to women. How does that play out in the corporate psyche?
On one hand, we are talking about inclusion. We keep harping about gender equity. On the other hand, exactly how you said, not everybody can put in so many hours. And the moment you make a statement like this, suddenly you've put the pressure of those 90 hours or 70 hours on everybody. Your HR is not going to come back and say that, okay, Shruti will do it, but Himanshu will not do it. HR will use the same blanket statement for everybody in terms of the number of hours. When it comes from somebody like, the people who've been saying it of late, I think senior leaders are people sitting in positions where what they say is seen as the norm. So we need to be very careful about what we are saying. It impacts inclusion, it impacts equity, it impacts parity, it impacts just how you're modeling the younger generation to be in the long run. So you've just changed the entire thing. There is some moral responsibility we all have about, most people will not even hear this debate that you and I are having today. They will just believe the word that is there in the newspapers, and that's what is going to be the model for them. So you've created a huge fracture in the way corporate works.
Himanshu, I really liked your answer about passion because, work is what drives a lot of us also as journalists. But tell me one thing, what would your advice be to younger people coming to you as employees? Would you also tell them to put in that kind of work that you put in?
No, not really. And I always of the opinion that it's about an individual, how he wants to shape up. Any youth that comes and joins us today we employ about 550 odd people in our company in India. We operate in about 135 odd cities. What we would want to do is, it's primarily, and I started with this conversation, it's to each to its own, right? It's about somebody who's coming with that passion in the auto space. He decides how many hours he has to work in. It's the people who decide, it's their passion for the work that they are deciding to work with us for those number of hours. We have stipulated working hours. We have 8 hours a shift that we are today operating in. We don't have 12, 15 hours mandated on the HR letters. What we tell them, it's 8 hours. Now it's up to you how many hours you have to put in because you're on your learning stage. Whether you would want to do that extra hours, it's your choice. It's not that somebody is being forced to work for 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day. Most of the people today that are working with us for those longer hours are by choice and not by design, right? So that is how we look at this. And most of my advice has always been, if you think, and we've always learned it that way, if those extra hours can give you an extra learning, then why not? And some of my most difficult learnings have been through those extra hours. When I've burned midnight oils is when I've been able to climb that ladder and I've been able to reach that success matrix. So I would say it's up to you. It's completely on that individual whether he would want to run those extra hours and he wants to move forward.
My last question to you. Also tell us this one thing, how do you see this distinction between HR companies organizing, not HR companies, the HR in companies also organizing meditation classes and stress busting sessions and yoga classes, but at the same time leaders of business enterprises saying that this is your duty and you have to work 70 to 90 hours a week. How do you see that duplicity? Because what is that collective message that corporate India is sending out to its professionals?
Yeah, Vasundhara, so India has become one of the most unhealthy nations in the world, right? The number of diabetes we have is like, we're the diabetes capital of the world. And that's all a lifestyle disease, right? So that people encounter. And that's all because of the stress people go through, whether it's the traffic and stuff like that. So, and another big problem that people don't realize, if everyone works 90 hours a day, are there enough jobs in India? Right. So we need, as of today, we need like 1 million jobs a month. So if everyone ends up working 90 hours, then we'll have 2 million jobs to fill or something like that. And there are, like, to each its own, like it was said earlier, because the geek workers today work 16 hours too. And so as a nation, we need to look at how the health of the nation can improve. And if you're going to keep people healthier and a happier nation, that should be our focus, right? So success is relative for everybody. There's some people's success is to earn money, some people is to have a better life. So what are we talking about is the question, right?
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me on this broadcast. The purpose of living, like our panelists have rightly pointed out, is not just to work, but also to have meaningful human interactions with friends, families, and also have better experiences in life, have greater time for intellectual stimulation, healthy physical activity, all of that, all while on the road to chasing what you see as success, because that is very important. Ambition and well-being both have to be balanced. And moving on to other important stories, at the 18th Pravasi Bharatiya Diwas, women amongst India's growing diaspora are being seen as being in the forefront of creating community-level partnerships between India and the world. From social work to building women-led companies to sensitizing their own countries about India, diaspora women are playing an important role in creating greater connect between India and the world. NDTV's Gaurie Dwivedi spoke to a power-packed panel of diaspora women. Let's listen in to that conversation.
It's Nari Shakti on full display. With me are the panelists of a session that's very close to my heart, which speaks about women empowerment and also ensuring that what women-led businesses can do is really brought out to the forefront. Thank you so much, ladies, for speaking to me. And let's quickly start with in terms of what this means to you. We'll keep it short answer, so we cover all of it. What this means to you, the importance of women and the importance of having a diaspora dialogue focusing on women.
I think India today really is moving towards empowering women in all aspects, and having provided us with such a respectable and such an honorable position and a place to speak on such an important topic is really very important. Thank you so much.
Shulet, you are from Jamaica. Talk to us about the connect as far as Jamaica, India is concerned, and also the fact that women-led businesses, women-led organizations, how much they are building the bridges between India and Jamaica.
I think it's amazing that we get this opportunity to talk about what women are doing. And Jamaica and India has a 180-year history. And over the past few years, that's only been getting better. And Jamaican-owned businesses by Indian diaspora are also growing. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity for us to use our position as women to ensure that we get our part of that ever-growing pie.
Dr. Idrani, you are pretty much representing Trinidad and Tobago here. Talk to us about women empowerment, because that's an area that you work very closely on. And what's been your experience like in terms of getting Indian women and building that connect with Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, you mean both from India and Trinidad?
Yes.
Yes, well, it's been a challenge. Because we don't network as neatly as the men do. But we are certainly growing that now with our women here. And I'm so glad for the opportunity to mix the different diasporas. Usually we exist in silos, but it's wonderful to come together as women.
Yes. Sakala, there's an area that you work very closely on, which is textiles. And I think that's one sector where women dominate. They dominate in terms of employment, unfortunately not in terms of returns. Tell us what it's been like so far.
So one of the things that, hi, thank you for having me. One of the things that I found over the years is there's not been enough focus on India-led businesses, whether it is men or women. Fashion is one of the biggest businesses in the world, $40 billion worldwide. And India has a significant chunk of it for luxury. So I'm trying to focus on sustainability and luxury fashion of India with the diaspora all over the world, getting to know a little more about the Indian brands and proudly encouraging it.
Ms. Sagar, you are, I know you're from Indonesia. What I was coming to was you are really taking the Indonesia-India business connect forward. Talk to us about women-led entrepreneurs, women-led companies and women entrepreneurs in your experience.
Yes, I thank you. And it is very important for women to support each other. And I think we are all change makers. And the more together we are stronger. So in the Business Connect. It is women who take other women forward. And I think in Indonesia, women are very empowered. And I think this is something that we all need to learn from each other. How to be stronger together, how to support each other and take each other forward.
I want to ask from you, ma'am, how important, come forward, ma'am, how important has this diaspora dialogue been for women and from women's point of view?
I think it's very important because it's not putting a very important topic on the agenda. It's also a crucial part of Viksit Bharat. And if we succeed to empower women and help them and support them to reach in leading positions, women together with men can make history. India can be a role model for all the entire world. So I'm really proud of the Indian government who is putting this on agenda.
All right, Sudha, you're coming from Tanzania. Tanzania has a very large, vibrant, prosperous Indian community there. Talk to us about your experience, areas that you're focusing on, and how much do you think movements like Pravasi Bharati really build on those connects?
This is indeed a great platform for us. And as a mental professional, I always vouch for the mental health of the women around the world. And my one Shakti, what I think, or my one voice is that we women, we need to have a choice to choose whatever we want to do. That is the freedom.
And ma'am, let me ask from you in terms of specifically Eastern Europe, Slovenia and several other regions. How do you see the diaspora connect there? How do you see the kind of programs that are being led there? And I want to ask you specifically when it comes to Nari Shakti, how is it that's being bolstered?
I live in Slovenia since last 50 years and Nari Shakti is very, very strong in Slovenia. All the Slovenian women, they work. They don't want to stay home and be commanded by their husbands. No way. They don't take any commands. They are all working in the home. They work in the house. They take care of their babies and keep full-time job in their offices.
I'm going to, this is a question I put to all of you, and all of these are in fact panelists who are joining in this session on Nari Shakti. And it's a quick question I want to ask all of you, which is that in your assessment, what is that one thing that you would want, whether it's from the government, whether it's from the civil society, to really build on A, women empowerment, and B, ensuring that the connects that we're trying to do with diaspora furthers? Quick answer.
I think on the women empowerment part, I can say that according to me, something which has helped me really come.
What would you want?
Yes. That is for them to promote more, physical defense activities for women, be it Malkhambh. We have
views on that, and I can't speak too much about it because it's still in the nascent stage. But education is very, very high on the agenda.
I would say gender inclusivity and having programs which promote it and which support it.
And where would that fit into the Indonesia-India dialogue?
So the women-owned enterprises, the women-owned businesses, I think it's a great way to connect India and Indonesia, to promote it.
I think we need a framework and we need strategies and systems to embrace women and connect gender equality and diversity to value creation, sustainability and innovation.
What would you want from Tanzania government?
Definitely mental health promotion, and that is the awareness and promote mental health in women so that we achieve success in our multitasking responsibility.
From you,
never give up.
Never give up, absolutely. Never give up is the word coming in from this entire women panel.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Fight for Purvanchali votes. This time at the national capital, BJP workers hold a protest, break barricades, marching to Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal's residence, objecting to his comments linking Purvanchalis and fake voters. Arvind Kejriwal, meanwhile, has retorted, saying no other party has helped Purvanchalis in Delhi as much as the AAP has. Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes a debut podcast. Prime Minister gets candid with Nikhil Kamath. Prime Minister says that he had to rise above his emotions during the Godhra incident. Celebrities react to L&T chief's comment on 90-hour work week. Deepika Padukone and also Jwala Gatta have expressed shock. Deadliest wildfire in US history, 10 dead, over 1.7 lakh people have been evacuated.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the 60 and our proud media partner NDTV.
All set for Trump 2.0. Countdown to January 20th. Terror shadow, visa wars. All the twists and turns. Tracking Trump takeover. Every day at 10:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Well, I'm in Altadena. This is one of the worst hit areas. When disaster strikes, NDTV World brings you exclusive on-the-ground reports straight from the heart of the action.
A neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been devastated by fire.
I just received an emergency alert extreme, which has come on my phone.
Stay tuned for NDTV World's in-depth coverage as we bring you the real stories from Los Angeles.
This is the Altadena area, and there are still fires and there's a lot of smoke in the area. These houses completely gutted.
This is reporting that matters only on NDTV World.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
This week on India Ascends.
UK's Pakistan rape gang parliament face-off reveals how even the mightiest of democracies can fall. India bolsters Myanmar defences amidst China's controlled chaos approach. We decode how Syria's history is being changed by its new extremist rule.
Good evening, you're watching the news at 8 with me, Tanima Biswas. On this show, we bring you detailed reports on all the top stories of the day. But first up, let's take a look at the headlines. Devotees back at Tirupati 2 days after the stampede which claimed 6 lives. Authorities at Tirupati say security has been upgraded and it's a foolproof system now. Andhra Chief Minister holds a review meet. Race to rescue 8 trapped miners continues in Assam. Additional pumps brought in to drain out water. There's still no contact with the trapped miners. Coal India says draining out the mine will take time. Caste becomes the new flashpoint in Delhi in the run-up to elections after jostling over Jats. The fight today was over Purvanchali's. BJP alleges AAP is maligning Purvanchali voters. Aam Aadmi Party retorts, claims BJP is getting Purvanchali names deleted. L&T chief's 90-hour work week remark sparks outrage. Deepika Padukone, Jwala Gutta react strongly against the comment. L&T clarifies, says nation building is the company's mandate and the chairman's remarks were aligned to that vision. NDTV reports from ground zero on LA's deadly wildfires. 10 killed, US authorities warn of further destruction. Shortly, a New York court to pronounce the sentence in the hush money case against Donald Trump. US President-elect Donald Trump to attend the hearing via video link. Our top focus, devotees are back at Tirupati 2 days after the stampede which had claimed 6 lives. Andhra government has ordered a judicial probe. Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, who visited the temple yesterday, also held a review meet today. Remember, 2 officials have been suspended for lapses.
A sea of devotees at Tirumala for the Vaikunta Dwara Darshan. Days after, 6 devotees waiting for tokens for this auspicious occasion were killed in stampede. Among them, devotees injured in that terrible tragedy as a special gesture by the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams at the receiving end.
Today, Vaikunta Ekadasi, everyone has to be taken darshan to Lord Venkateshwara. I'm very excited.
3 दिन पहले का हमको टोकन मिला है. हम आए पुणे से. हमारा इधर आने का 4था वार है अभी. लेकिन इनका अरेंजमेंट अच्छा रहता है, लेकिन थोड़ा हर टाइम अरेंजमेंट बदलते रहता है. थोड़ा सिस्टम थोड़ा रहेगा तो अच्छा रहेगा.
Authorities are not taking any chances. They say they have ensured smooth movement of devotees, and they say they have a set foolproof system in place at this temple for this kind of a congregation. After a review of what went wrong, Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu suspended 2 officials, including the DSP, who had allegedly opened the gate without announcement, causing a stampede, and transferred the SP and 3 temple board officials for lack of coordination. Devotees want a more safe system.
Asking for the token system is changing now. Everything people also suffered from token system.
Comfortable and at the same time security system, sir.
With the stampede raising questions on the competence of the Tirumala Temple Administration, TTD and district authorities in handling large crowds, the resumption of the token distribution midnight between Sunday and Monday would come under a close scrutiny for safety protocols. In Tirupati with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find TV.
Shifting focus to another one of our headline stories, a joint rescue operation of the Indian Army, NDRF and local rescue teams continues to rescue 8 miners who are still trapped inside a coal mine at Dima Hasao area of Assam. They've been trapped there since Monday. Coal India has brought in additional pumps to de-water the mine, but added that it will take time to drain out all the water.
After big pumps that can draw out 500 gallons per minute were brought yesterday to the disaster site, today the process of their installation has begun. Since divers of the Indian Navy and Army could not do much in the acidic and murky waters, the water has to be drained out to find the trapped miners.
We have already brought one high capacity pump, 500 GPM from Nagpur, and now you have seen it is under installation. We don't know exactly the underground position. Water is 30 meter. Below 70 meter is 30 meters water. We don't want to lose time.
Pumps have been brought all the way from Nagpur by Coal India Limited. These are the most advanced pumps in terms of which are submersible pumps which can take out a lot of water at one go. But time is running out because even to install these pumps, 1 to 2 days would be required, and much of the time that would be required to install these pumps would also mean that the time for the people who are trapped inside is also running out. The government carried out a drone survey to study the water bodies that might be draining into the mine. In 2018, in Meghalaya's Jaintia Hill region, Coal India and other government agencies had failed to empty the water in a mine where 15 labourers were trapped. After 52 days, the operation was called off. People are hoping that this operation sees some success. With cameraperson Sanjay Chakravarti, from Umrangshu, Dima Hasao, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
News now from the national capital, and the key BJP election meeting is currently underway in Delhi. The meeting is to discuss the remaining Delhi candidates. So far, BJP has released 29 out of 70 candidate names in Delhi. The Prime Minister, along with Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and BJP Chief JP Nadda are at the meeting. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Vasudha. Vasudha, we know that discussion on the candidates list is going to be one of the agendas at the meeting, but what else is there? It's clearly going to be a meeting centered around Delhi election strategy.
The battle for Delhi 2025 has intensified, and all of this also because the Aam Aadmi Party has come out with its campaign which says Kejriwal against who. And the first list of the BJP with 29 candidates set the stage for some very high-profile contests, which includes Ramesh Biduri versus Chief Minister Ratishi from Kalkaji and Parvesh Verma, who is the son of Sahib Singh Verma, the BJP's former Chief Minister of New Delhi, and also former MP and also a prominent Jat community person of the BJP versus Arvind Kejriwal from the New Delhi constituency. So that was the first list with 29 candidates. 6 out of the 8 sitting MLAs of the BJP also made it to that list. So the second list is awaited with a lot of anticipation because 17th is the last day of filing nominations and 41 names are yet to be announced. Remember that the Congress party has come out with its list of 40 candidates, and the Aam Aadmi Party, in a sign of preparedness and just to get that first mover advantage, they have come out with the names of all the 70 candidates. So there is pressure on the BJP not just to also work on its strategy, but also in some ways take maximum advantage of the anti-incumbency of the 10-year rule of the Aam Aadmi Party. The first list, of course, the number of women was not much, which is why there's a lot of anticipation